Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not giving the dollhouse I built to my niece, but to my wife as a gift? It's not a dollhouse, but I didn't want anyone to think I was being misleading on purpose by saying I built a house. I, 28M, made my wife, 28F, a replica of a house that's known to fans of a musician, but wouldn't mean much to others. It's about 2 feet tall and wasn't very complicated to build, but my wife had said a few times over last year that she thought it would be cool to have for little trinkets. She's like a crow with her trinkets, I love it. She didn't know I was making it for her, but I did sneakily involve her in its creation through having her make a couple TikToks when we were out together so I could get the colors right. She has no idea, lol. I was excited, so I showed a picture to my brother. He told me it was cool, but didn't get the purpose. He showed it to my niece Ava, 13F, who knew what it was and said she wanted one too. My brother asked if I would give it to Ava for her birthday. I said no, it's for my wife, but I could make one with Ava. It would help teach her some basic woodworking skills which they don't do in schools here anymore. I'd like that. Brother said if it was so easy then I could make a second one for my wife and just give this one to Ava since her birthday is the end of the month. Again I said no, this was done specifically for my wife. He seemed to accept that but then came back to me and said, isn't it a little weird to make a dollhouse for an adult woman? I told him it's not a dollhouse, just a fancy shelf. He argued that makes it worse, because Ava would actually play with it. He must have gone to complain to Mom about it, he is the younger brother, because Mom called me to tell me that it was stupid to give my wife a dollhouse. I tried to explain that it's not a dollhouse but she just kept saying, that's stupid. This weekend I was at their house and Ava kept bringing up the house and laying it on thick with statements like, I've always wanted one just like it. She kept asking why my wife wanted a dollhouse. I said it's not a dollhouse, but she kept asking why she needed a dollhouse. I told my brother that he was encouraging his kid to be manipulative and I really didn't like it, so I was going to leave. He told me that I was dangling the house over her head like McDonald's and teasing her and that it made me a bad uncle. Being a good uncle is important to me and I do feel for the girl because she's a big fan too. I admit I have a blind spot for this because I don't have kids and maybe I shouldn't have shared the picture with my brother to begin with. Am I really the a-hole for not just giving it to her? Yes, it was easy to make and I could make another quickly. Sorry guys, Ava isn't my brother's biological daughter, there's a long story involved that I didn't want to add but I should have realized the age would be surprising. I still see her as my niece regardless but I get why that would be alarming. Nothing bad happened or anything. Top comments. I'm guessing the dollhouse is a replica of the lover house? If it's anything like I'm imagining or what I've seen online, it is more like a fancy storage display for her Taylor Swift memorabilia rather than a toy anyway. Not the a-hole in either case, OP. It's your creation that you get to gift to whoever you want. OP Refeplease. Yeah, it's the lover house. LOL, I didn't know if I said that directly if it was going to affect what people said because of how weird people are about her. Pay the lover house trinket shelf tax please, I want to see it. Not the a-hole by far. OP Refeplease. I'll make a note for myself to come back once I give it to my wife this weekend. I don't want it out there because she might recognize the background. Next story. Am I the a-hole for declining to invite a woman who has called herself a total klepto into my home? I joined a women's social club 6 months ago because I've been struggling to make friends after relocating to a new-to-me city. It took me a while to warm up to the group and to connect with people I actually had anything in common with. I had to wade through a lot of Botox parties and boozy brunches to find things I was interested in. But I did, and I started coming to group events fairly often. I hang out most often with the women who like to read, do crafty things, bake, skywatch, etc. Among these women is one, I'll call her Andia, who has made several comments about how she's a total klepto. I think that she makes these comments to seem cool to the other people in the group. I reached out to some of the women I see regularly at these events and invited them over to my place to watch a TV show we'd been talking about and do crafty stuff. They were excited and agreed to come. Unfortunately, Andrea found out, I assume someone asked if she was going, and reached out to me to ask if she was invited. I considered this for a bit and then told her no, as I only had so much room at home. She didn't believe me and asked me for the real reason, saying, I thought we got along, which yes, is true. I told her I'm not comfortable inviting a kleptomaniac into my home. That I've worked hard to have the things I have and it would be stupid for me to invite her knowing that she openly brags about it. She said, okay, very quietly. She then said, you're painting me out to be some horrible criminal when you don't even know anything about me. I said that her being proud to call herself a klepto was all I needed to know. She said that I was a high school mean girl and ableist. I am unsure what the foundation for that statement is. This unfortunately has spilled over to the group, which is frustrating. But what has me the most surprised is that there are so many people defending her and telling me that I'm out of touch and take things too literally. Am I a hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Being a thief isn't the same as being a kleptomaniac or a klepto. One of the key factors of diagnosing kleptomania, which is a legit rare mental health disorder, is the roller coaster of emotions about the theft. A kleptomaniac will not tell virtual strangers that they have stolen because the shame is physically painful to them. Andrea is the ableist for rebranding kleptomania to justify her poor behavior. Opie replies, I know that there are people who say they are being so OCD about something and they just mean they're being fastidious. I'm not well versed on kleptomania, but I thought her comment might have been along those lines. Not the a-hole. I had a girl in my sorority describe herself as a self-diagnosed klepto, and that, if she saw something she liked, she just couldn't help herself, be it something at a store, on campus, or in possession of one of us. After she took it, it became her property, and heaven forbid you try to get your things back. I refused to associate with her outside of meetings. I never hung out with her, let her in my car or dorm room, never let her near my purse or jacket in group settings. She cried that I was a bully. People like them are always going to play victim. I'm very glad you're keeping your boundaries. Next story. Am I the a-hole for having an intervention about my husband's parenting? We have a 10-week-old baby. Husband, 28M, absolutely adores him and wants to spend every available moment with him. I know he wants to be an amazing father, however he engages in unsafe behaviors like falling asleep on the couch while baby is contact napping, leaving baby on the playmat unattended while the dog is in the room, or putting baby for a day nap with his bib still on. Husband claims I'm too anxious, making a big deal out of nothing, baby can't roll yet and the dog won't hurt him, he holds baby firmly while sleeping, etc. And I admit I don't react calmly and freak out, which makes him act defensive. But he is being unsafe and it stresses me out. I feel like I can't leave him alone with the baby, which only offends him more. Last week I had enough and asked my mother-in-law and sister-in-law to talk to him. They took my side and ripped him a new one. Now husband is angry that I brought him into it and made a whole intervention like he's such a bad dad. Am I the a-hole for insisting my husband change how he acts around the baby, and involving his family? Top comments. Not the a-hole, your husband is the a-hole. He is doing dangerous things that could genuinely kill the baby. Safe co-sleeping does exist, but not with anyone but the breastfeeding parent for the first few months. Even then, you need to set up a space following the Safe Sleep 7. I am sick of men not educating themselves on this and forcing you to do the labor of finding sources to teach him how to be a parent when you yourself are new to it too, and then he doesn't even listen to you. I would be livid. If he isn't willing to educate himself, he has to default to your knowledge. He doesn't get a say in any decisions if he's not knowledgeable about anything. Opie replies. We have an attached bedside crib. Husband is perfectly safe sleeping on the bed when baby is next to him in the crib, within reach. I just don't want him sleeping during a couch contact nap. I have a friend who laid their 4-week-old baby on the kitchen table. He rolled over, fell off the table and fractured his skull. Because of their negligence, CPS took the baby and they have been trying for 3 months to get him back. Do not allow your husband to put the baby at risk. Not the a-hole. I know personally a 10-week-old baby that died because a parent fell asleep with them on the couch. The baby slipped in between the couch and the parent. They were a very experienced, competent parent with other children that never had a problem. It didn't matter. Things can happen so fast. However, freaking out and screaming isn't going to help. Tell your husband sorry for screaming and involving his family, but you felt you didn't have a choice since you felt he wasn't hearing you and you feared for the baby's safety. Try to end it on a positive note and tell him all the things he does that you love and appreciate. Hope he can wake up and see it's about safety and not an attack on his character. Next story. Am I the a-hole for accidentally catching my brother's girlfriend in a lie? This might be a bit long, so I'll put a TLDR at the end. I, 19F, have a brother, 24M, that I'll call Liam. Earlier this year, he started dating a girl he met at his climbing class that I'll call Emma, 26F. They've been together for 4 months and this weekend he decided to introduce her to us. They arrived yesterday and are staying until tonight. She is a really nice person and we got along well. Then at one point my dad asked her what she did in life and she said she was a lawyer. I was super interested because I'm currently studying law and have wanted to be a lawyer since I was maybe 10, so I was very excited to ask her questions about it. I asked about cases that she had, how she studied to become a lawyer, what her days looked like and many more things. I might have been a little over-enthusiastic and annoying, but I didn't realize it at the time and was just excited to get to ask someone questions about my dream job. But at one point she said something that seemed incoherent to me. The details might be long and boring, but basically she just said something that isn't technically possible. So I was curious and a bit confused and I asked her how that was possible because I just thought she's the professional so she must know better than me. But as she tried to explain it she just said more incoherent and impossible things. It was kind of like if someone was quoting things from Grey's Anatomy to doctors, if you see what I mean. So I asked more about it to understand and that's when she admitted that she wasn't actually a lawyer and worked at a bookstore. She told us that she was very sorry for lying and then left the table and my brother followed her. My parents kind of scolded me for being so intrusive and when my brother came back he was a bit angry. He started telling me that I was wrong for interrogating her and that I made her uncomfortable and that she had lied because she was embarrassed about her job and I just made her more embarrassed. Now he hasn't been talking to me since and neither has Emma. I'm not sure I'm in the wrong here, but they all seem to think so. I get that me asking questions was annoying and maybe a bit too much, but I truly didn't have bad intentions. I was just excited to be able to talk about it with someone. And also I don't understand how everyone is so okay with the fact that she lied to my brother for 4 months and then also lied to us. I get being embarrassed, but I don't know, it's still a bit weird to me. But I never meant to make her uncomfortable and I genuinely liked her. I don't see how I'm in the wrong, but maybe I just can't see it, so please tell me so that I can have another perspective. TLDR, we met my brother's girlfriend and she told us she was a lawyer, so I asked her questions because I was interested. But she said some incoherent things and then admitted she was lying about her job. They blame me for asking too many questions. Edit. For everyone wondering if I'm on the spectrum or neurodivergent in any way, I haven't been diagnosed with anything, but many doctors and teachers of mine have mentioned it to me. I can understand why, but I don't want to self-diagnose obviously. I haven't been able to get tested because my parents don't believe in that stuff, but as soon as I'm fully independent, financially, and living on my own, I will get tested. Top comments. Not the a-hole. She's a weirdo for lying about being a lawyer and your family is weird for acting like you did anything wrong when you assumed she was the knowledgeable one and was just trying to grasp what she was saying. It's not like you were trying to catch her in a lie. She couldn't keep up with it and had to out herself to end the conversation. Info: did your brother know she would be lying about her job and saying she's a lawyer? If he did, that's really weird considering I'd assume he knows you're studying in that field, so you'd be curious. Plus, if she knew you were studying law, pretending to be a lawyer to seem cool to you is weird as well. Opie replies. No, my brother didn't know that she was lying because she had also told him she was a lawyer when they met, and he also found out it was a lie. I'm guessing she lied to him when they first met and didn't expect it to take such proportions and was kind of stuck in her lie, which I can have sympathy for, but it's still really weird. Not the a-hole. If it was a smaller lie with less wider implications, whether she has traveled to X, whether she saw Y in concert, etc., then you would be the a-hole for trying to pick holes. But for her to have lied about something so big as whether or not she is a lawyer, with the other implications about her career trajectory, financial situation, her ambitions, etc., is a fairly big thing for your brother to be kept in the dark over. It might be that she was saying it because she is, wrongly, embarrassed about just working in a bookstore, in which case she probably isn't a bad person. But whatever her motivation, it's not great that she has misled your brother for so long. It also begs the question, what else has she lied about? Not the a-hole, I mean maybe learn to read the room, but still an excited young person talking bit too much about something is at worst a little socially unaware, but that's not bad, you couldn't have known. She played with fire and got burnt. Not to mention, how could you possibly think this could work out with such a huge lie? And over so long. This is someone with some serious issues. Even if she didn't have malicious intentions, is still very disturbed. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying my parents' mortgage after my sister moved in? Throwaway account. For the past 8 years, I, 32M, have been paying my parents' property taxes and mortgage. They are retired and have very little retirement savings because they put all their money into my sister, 29F, and I's education. We both went to top universities and found successful jobs afterwards. I felt like I owed my parents for all they sacrificed for me, so it was a no-brainer to help them retire with no financial stress. My parents did not consult my sister about splitting these costs with me. Instead, the agreement was that I would get a larger share of the house. Fast forward to now, my sister unfortunately lost her job last year and as a result, doesn't have much savings. She moved in with my parents to save money while she looks for a job. I recently found out that my sister pitched staying permanently in my parents' house, and my parents agreed. I was furious at this, because I had been paying for the house with the understanding that it would be sold and I would get a larger share. It is very likely my sister never sells the house and instead raises her eventual family there. Because the original agreement with my parents changed, I stopped paying for the mortgage, leaving it up to my sister to take care of if she's taking over the house. My parents are furious with me, saying I'm too money obsessed and should be continuing to help the family while my sister is in a tough spot still looking for a job. Instead, they are promising that eventually my sister will pay me out for my share of the house plus whatever else I contributed over 8 years. I turned that offer down because there's no real guarantee this will happen and I don't trust my sister to follow through financially. I may be the a-hole for taking such a cynical stance and leaving my family in financial stress, but I feel like I was already burned once through verbal agreements and I don't want to get burned again. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My sister is fully opposed to selling the house because of the sentimental value. I'm not on the deed because when you put someone else on the deed in CA, your house is reassessed and it will double our current property tax. There are also some implications to my parents' social security payments if I do so. I wish I got something in writing, but I felt like an a-hole asking for something like that from my family. It was naive of me to think that way. Top comments. 8 years is a long time to be paying a mortgage with only a verbal agreement. Even if you are/were on great terms, always get things in writing. You could cut your losses here, it is unlikely you'll see your money back. If the house is big enough for sister and potential future family to live in, why didn't parents sell and downsize if it's just the two of them? They need to anyway if you cut them off. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my lottery winnings from a white elephant gift? The recent family Christmas party was at my 22M house this year and about 25 people showed up. The traditional game this year was White Elephant. My family plays the dice version with some house rules for context. Anyone who doesn't have a gift by the end of the game will receive $10 as a gift. Trading gifts is allowed only with the $10 consolation gift. The game had a total of about 40 gifts. I ended the game with 4 gifts, and 4 family members ended with none. My gifts were a space heater, windshield wipers, a 20-pound gummy bear, and a $50 Starbucks gift card. Of the 4 people without gifts, 3 of them got rejected, meaning only 1 trade was made. My cousin, 26F, ended with $50 worth of lottery tickets but assumed they'd be worth nothing, and I don't go to Starbucks. We couldn't trade because of the rules above and argued that the gift cards and lottery tickets had a numerical value like the $10 gifts, so they should be tradable. The family agreed and more gift cards were exchanged. Trading ended and people began using their gifts, so I went to put my gifts back in my room and a quarter to scratch the 5 $10 tickets. I wasn't expecting to win anyway, as I thought that scratching the second about to move on to the third. I did a double take as I realized I'd won $25,000. For a second I thought they were fake, but my grandma, 82F, who bought them, wouldn't do that. I sat in my room for a bit and decided to keep quiet about it, knowing how some family members might react. I thought about how to tell them throughout the party. When they asked, I said no and that I threw them out. The next day, the 29th, I asked my mom, 58F, to come with me to cash in the lottery ticket. She was surprised, of course, and told me that I needed to go to the casino. My brother, 28M, thought it was funny and tagged along. He proceeded to post snaps of me being handed $100 bills in the casino. Although I told him not to say anything because of the commotion it would cause and that I'd share some with the family, he posted it anyway. An hour passes and I'm pulled into a group chat of people from the party plus family members that couldn't make it. I said I'd give everyone who came to the party $250 and thought I was being selfish. For 30-ish people that attended, that $7,500 right there, I felt that was fair. Family members who weren't there argued that they shouldn't be excluded. Others argued that $250 isn't enough if I have $25,000. After about 30 minutes of arguing, I was pissed and gave up negotiating. I told everyone that I'm sorry that they're not happy with your gifts this year and that the rule was that all trades are final. I kept all the money, put $15,000 in my savings, and invested the rest. Many of my family members are still upset with me, even as far as calling me cruel and heartless. I told them that if $250 isn't enough from a $100 limit, they're the selfish ones. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. That is why my personal rule is I never give out lottery tickets as any sort of gift. Because if you lose, people are like, huh? You got nothing for your gift. If you win, everybody wants a piece of it. It's your money. You don't need to share it with anybody. And you will never make anyone happy because they all want more, and if you end up more than them, they will think you're being greedy. Nobody wins in that way. Also, your brother was a super huge a-hole for posting it online knowing there was going to be issues. You offered to be nice and everybody said it wasn't enough free money. So you did the right thing. No one gets anything and you get to have some savings cushion and a little investing. Not the a-hole, and don't think twice. Honestly, your whole family is the a-hole. What kind of deranged white elephant game do people not wind up with gifts, and you wind up with 4? That crappy game was bound to start fights to begin with. Everyone else sucks for not being happy with a generous $250. You're not the a-hole for that offer. Your family is, though, for being greedy. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.